Okay, Merlin, we are going down the big aisle here at St. Andrew's Cathedral because all the boys and girls and the mums and dads are waiting for us to show up because they've sent in a whole bunch of questions, Merle. So let's just sit right down here and just see if we can answer some of the questions. Okay, Merlin? Sorry, my microphone fell off. You know, I think, Merlin, you can't eat that. Just stay here. Huh? No, you can't eat that. It's not good for you. Okay, I've got the microphone on. It's a good thing I put it on pretty fast because Merlin was I think he wanted to say something. Anyway, he's got dog slobber on the microphone. Anyway, it's good to be with you tonight, boys and girls and moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas. The kids have sent in some wonderful questions, and I got to put my glasses on because I can't read them. Okay, Merlin, the bush is getting old. Okay, so here's a question from Maya, age 9, St. Joseph the Worker. Did Merlin ever try to bite you when he was a puppy? Merlin? No, he never tried to bite me when he was a puppy. But little puppies, they usually explore everything with their mouths. So he would come along and he would it was more like licking and kind of biting, but not like he was mad or anything. Okay, Merlin, here's another question. That was a good question, Maya. He never really tried to bite me, no. This is from Max in grade 6 at St. Joseph the Worker Parish and School. Oh my goodness, this is a big question from Max. I guess he's got some friends that aren't Catholic, and they're telling him different things about their church, and he's probably telling them about his church. And he's starting to figure out, why is the Christian church so divided? Well, that's a really good question. Merlin, what do you think? Why is the Christian church so divided? Oh, okay, you got your paw up there. Well, you're in grade 6, you've heard of something called pride. When we have pride in our hearts, it's really hard to be humble. And one of the prayers that Jesus had, and you'll hear it in the gospel tonight at Mass, he prayed, Father, I pray that they may be one as you and I are one. But that's really hard. Even in a family, you know how hard it is sometimes to get along all the time. And so that's what's happened for 1,000 years. There's been these divisions in the Christian church. And it's a grave sin. It's something very, very serious. And so for the last, at least as long as I've been a priest and as a bishop, we've been working very, very hard to create dialogue and understanding of each other as Christian people. And I must tell you, we have come a very, very long way, but there's still much more to do. So it's called the ecumenical movement, and it is one of the central teachings of the church for the last 50 years and even before that. So we have to work very, very hard. And yes, different types of Christians teach different things. Now, the most important thing is that we're always respectful, and if somebody asks us a question, we give them the answer that we have from our Catholic Christian tradition, which we have from the apostles and the bishops today and our Holy Father in Rome. And we always do this with great humility and great understanding. The most important thing about the working together as Christians or trying to be more united is we must listen. Everybody's got 2 ears, right, Merlin? And only one mouth. So we have to listen. And that's the most important thing we have to do. But Max, that's a very big question. And maybe someday you will be a big part of the ecumenical movement to create unity in the Christian church. Boy, what a great thing. Okay, this is from Miguelito. He's 9, and Diego is 8, and Dominic is 6, and Antonio is 4, and Ignacio is 1. They live in New Westminster. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful little family. And they've got one big question. We would love to hear the funniest Merlin story. Oh boy, Merlin, they want to hear a funny story. Which one should I tell? Huh? Merlin? Which one should I tell? Huh? Okay. I would say the funniest Merlin story, and I hope I don't embarrass you, Merlin, but when you were just little, about 6 months old, you were already pretty big, and you had great big paws. As a matter of fact, it looked as though you had horseshoes or snowshoes. They were so big. And you wanted to see everything and do everything. And I was down in a little place down in northern British Columbia. I was up in Whitehorse, and I was fishing in a little pond. Now the little pond was actually just where a creek came in, and the rest of the lake, Ettenjohn Lake, was covered in ice. It was frozen. It was Easter time, but I wanted to get a couple of little fish for Good Friday, you know, have fish on Good Friday. So I was fly fishing, and I was throwing the lure out into this little pond. It wasn't very big, and Merlin kept seeing this little plop in the water. Plop, plop. Well, doesn't he figure he's got to go get that? So he goes down the lake, and the next thing you know, I look out, and there's Merlin way out on the ice. And so he starts trotting along. He had never been on the ice before, you know, I hadn't let him go out there. And so he's trotting along on the ice, and it's still pretty cold. And he gets over to where he can see the plop, the plop, the plop. He gets closer and closer and closer to the edge, and all of a sudden, and I'm hollering at him, Merlin, get back, get back. Well, he didn't pay attention, and ploosh, down he went right into that freezing cold water in that lake. And you know, one of the things that you never have to worry about, a dog can always swim. It doesn't matter how little they are or how big they are, they know how to do the dog paddle. And that I still laugh about that to this day. I just think, oh my goodness, Merlin. And he was only 6 months old, and I thought, oh, he is going to be a handful. And believe me, he has been a handful. But he's a big handful, and I love him to bits. But he can get himself into some pretty tight pickles sometime, and it's kind of exciting trying to save him. Anyway, I've saved him a couple times. But that was one of the funniest stories when he fell through the ice. But great question. Okay, Merlin, here we've got a question this is from Mrs. Walsh's grade 2 class at Queen of Angels School. And we got a question from Desmond. Merlin? Oh, wait a minute, we're not finished. Where are you going? Okay, you want to go down there? Are you listening to the question? Okay, here it is. Is Merlin the bishop of all dogs, like you are the bishop of all of us? Oh, Merlin. Merlin, are you the bishop of all dogs? He says he'd like to be the bishop of all dogs, but he's not the bishop of all the dogs. And I'm not the bishop of all the people, just the people on Vancouver Island. You know, I don't know. What do you think? Do you want to be the bishop of all the dogs? No, he doesn't. It's too much work. So he's just going to be, he's going to be the bishop's dog and not the bishop of all the dogs. What? Oh, yes? Yeah, what else, Merlin? Oh, okay. He says that every dog is special and they each need their own bishop. Okay, I think that's a good answer. And there's all kinds of different breeds. Okay, Jackson, how did he get the name Merlin? Well, Merlin, where'd you get your name? That was the name they gave him in California, where he was born. And when I got him at 4 months old, that was the name he had. And I thought, well, that sounds like a good name. We're just going to keep calling him Merlin. Oh, yes, Merlin, I've got you right here. Don't worry. Yeah, Merlin, Merlin, Merlin. Don't worry. So you're the number one guy. Okay, just sit down now. That's good, boy. Okay, here's another question. What is Merlin's favorite trail to walk in Victoria? Merlin, what's your favorite trail? Well, his favorite trail so far is in Nanaimo. And it was the Millstone River Trail in Bowen Park. Oh boy, he loved to run up and down that trail. He had a great time. He's got a really nice trail here in Victoria, but it's more on sidewalks. Victoria is kind of busy, so we walk on in some neighborhoods up near where I live. Actually, we go by St. Andrew's High School, and we go by St. Margaret's School. And he likes going by the schools because there's lots of kids. Well, not right now, but when there's school in, he likes that because the kids always put lots of stuff in the garbage can, and there's lots of good treats in the schoolyard. So that's where we go. Okay, that was a good question. Let's see, oh, Merlin, they want to know, what was your first trick when you were a little guy? What was your first trick? Let's hear it. My first trick was retrieving the ball. I'm a golden retriever. And the first thing I learned how to do was to get the ball and to bring it back. And by the time I was 1 year old, I could even throw the ball at the bish. So he would get the ball and he brings it back, and then he tosses it with his big nose. He tosses the ball, and then I catch it. So that's pretty cool, eh? Yeah, that was your first trick. You still do that really good, don't you? Good boy, Merlin. Okay, let's see if we got another one here. Yeah, we got a few more minutes. Oh, here's a good question what was Merlin's first trick? That was from Lucy. And Merlin's favorite trail was from Kyle. And Jackson, how did he get the name Merlin? Yes? Yes, Merlin? So I forgot to tell you the names of the kids. This one is from Desmond. Merlin, Desmond's asking you a question. Is there a purpose with how God spelled backwards is dog? Absolutely. That's because dog is, well, we say that dog is man's best friend. Well, and woman's best friend too. Yeah, that's why I think that the word dog is God spelled backwards, because dog is like, I mean, look at their tails, they're always wagging, they're always happy, doesn't matter what's going on. And you know what? It doesn't matter, even if you're not feeling good, or you're crying, or you're sad, or you're mad, the dog's tail is always going to wag, because they always love you, no matter what. And you know what? Isn't that just like God? God loves us no matter what. Oh my goodness. You know, we can fall into an awful lot of potholes, and we can get pretty, kind of get in trouble sometimes. But you know what? God always loves us. God loves us more than you can even imagine. That's a great question. So the other reason we call dog dog, it's God spelled backwards, but it also means depend on God. So every dog is a message. Every time you see a dog, it's a message. It means depend on God. Isn't that beautiful? And isn't that the message that Jesus came to give us? Depend on God. God gives us everything. Oh my goodness, what a beautiful question, Desmond. Wasn't that a good one, Merlin? Dog. I don't call you Dog, I call you Merlin. Okay, this is from Carla. Merlin, we heard that you were sick. Are you feeling better now? Absolutely. I just had a couple of bad days. I think I drank the wrong water, and it made the bish get up about 8 times in the middle of the night so I could run outside real fast. And you know, sometimes I just can't help myself. I see food or I see water and it just goes right in my mouth. And anyway, Merlin got pretty sick for 2 days, and the bish spent a couple of days running up and down the stairs getting Merlin out the door really fast. So he wasn't too happy. But he's better now, aren't you, Merle? Yeah. All right. And he is feeling a lot better. What does Bishop Gary do? This is from Carla. To help you feel better when you're sick. So what did I do, Merlin? Well, first of all, Merlin got to sleep in. He didn't have to go to work or go to school. He just laid on the couch, and I would just go over and pet his head, and it's going to be okay, Merlin. Your little tummy will feel better. Don't worry. And we didn't take him out for big runs or big walks. He just had a couple of days to rest. Just like when you get sick and you stay home from school, you lay on the couch and your mom and dad come over and they say, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And you know what we call that? We call that TLC. Tender, loving care. And isn't that the most important thing that we do, whether it's with our pets or with our friends or with our moms or dads or with our brothers and sisters? Tender, loving care. All right. Okay, now, let's see. Oh, here's a good question from Carla. I cry when I am sad. Do Jesus and God cry? You betcha. You know, in the Bible stories, when Jesus' really good friend Lazarus died, he was really, really sad. And he cried. And the Bible even says he was shaken. Yeah, he was really sad. Jesus was really sad when his friend Lazarus died. And then when he was going through Jerusalem just before he was crucified, he cried over Jerusalem. He wept for the people, you know. And then those are the 2 times I remember in the Bible. So Jesus shed tears because he was sad. And yeah, I think sometimes Jesus does get sad, and he cries. He cries when you cry, and he cries when you're sad. And he feels it when you're not happy. And he feels it in his heart when people are starving, or when people don't have enough to eat, or when they don't have a place to live, or when people are fighting. Oh my, Jesus cries when he sees people fighting. He doesn't like people fighting. Oh, Jesus does cry. Yes, because he gets very sad when we don't get along. And he gets very sad when we don't take care of people that are poor or hungry or naked or don't have a place to live. He gets really sad when he finds out about people that are refugees and they're drowning in boats. Yeah, there's a lot of things that make Jesus sad. And well, to tell you the truth, they make Merlin sad too, and they make the bishop sad. Oh, they make the bishop very sad. So we have to do our best to try and help Jesus to smile more by taking care of our brothers and sisters on this planet. Pope Francis says that we're all interconnected. So everybody on this world is our brother and sister, and Jesus cares about them all. There's one more here. Why do we need to go to church when God is everywhere? Merlin, why do we go to church? because that's where all the people are. And we're a community, and we're a family, and we get together in I call this my big house. You know, you're kind of like in my living room right now. This is Merlin and I's big house. And Merlin really likes it when people come, because then he's got more people that pet him and like him. And yeah, that's why we go to church, because it's where the family goes. It'd be like if you wanted to be, you know, you're part of a family, and let's just say you never showed up at dinner. And everybody would wonder, where's Carla? She's not coming for supper. And the next day, where's Carla? She's not coming for supper. Where's Carla? She's not coming for supper. And they'd be worried. So one of the reasons we come is because we're part of a family. And when you're part of a family, you show up. The other thing is, when we gather for the sacred meal of the Eucharist. We gather for the body and the blood of Christ. It's the Last Supper. It's the meal. So when people don't show up for the meal, it's kind of sad. And so one of the biggest reasons we go to church, yes, God is everywhere. God is everywhere. But we go because we're part of a family, and we go to be nourished at the table. And the real presence of Jesus in the Word of God, and in the Eucharist, and in the presider or the priest, and in the people of God. So that's a really good question. I hope I've answered it. But you know, that's why we go. God is everywhere. You're absolutely right. But we go because we're part of a family. And we like to be together to share the meal that Jesus gave us at the Last Supper, to be fed. And, well, I think that's just like being part of any family, isn't it? Well, that was a great question, Carla. Boys and girls, you are getting questions here they're real stumpers. It takes time to look at these questions and think about them. They're very good questions. Merlin, what do you think? Are these good questions? Oh boy, Bish, these are really tough. Anyway, boys and girls, next week, Merlin and I will be here at 6:30 on Thursday. Merlin at rcdvictoria.org. That's Merlin's email. You can send him in some more questions. Thank you so much for coming out tonight virtually. And you know, when things kind of get opened up again, hopefully Merlin will be able to get a chance, like we used to do, to come around and visit everybody in their classrooms. Actually, as a matter of fact, Merlin and I are going to visit a classroom on Friday on Zoom. Merlin and I are going to be on Zoom with a grade 8 class, I think, at Queen of Angels School. So we're kind of looking forward to that, because, you know, I've been in my living room and in the cathedral for like 2.5 months. I haven't seen any of the kids at all. Nobody's around, eh? So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing everybody on Zoom. Anyway, may God bless you all. Keep up the good questions. And Merlin and I are going to go. He's all tuckered out, as you can see. He's laying down. And I got to go get my vestments on and get ready for Mass at 7 o'clock. Be kind and take care of each other. Oh, and Merlin says, wash your paws lots. Good night. Okay, Merle, let's go. Come on. We're going to go this way, Merlin.